My TV is back. He's live. So yeah, we're going. So yeah, he's live. So we're gonna continue.
For 90 minutes teaching you guys what I did to trace my family's heritage and apply for tribal citizenship with the Muskogee Nation back in 2021. But guys, I'm gonna give you some free game, right? The first thing that I teach my clients is about the different ethnic groups, and I tell them just like this, verbatim. This is exactly how I tell them. If you end up booking a consultation with me, you'll hear this verbatim in the intro. I lay it down like this. I say, take a look at Africa. Compare a North African to a South African. They look like completely different people, different culture, different phenotype. Compare an East African to a West African, they look like they can be from different planets. And in that same vein, we have different ethnic groups of American Indian tribes. The first group are known as the Anasazi, aka the Amerindian, aka the Negro people. The Spanish also called us Negros de Terras, that translates to blacks of the land. The Spanish even delineated the indigenous black folks from the African slaves they later brought because they called us Negros de Terras, blacks of the land, and they called them Negros de Guinea, blacks of Africa. We are the oldest, original, largest population. Hundreds of millions of us there were. And as a collective people, we descend from those that they refer to as the Eastern Yugon people or the
That's my people.
Mississippian mound
My
builders.
people.
In more recent times and more modern times, we know these tribes in the Southeast by these different names, such as Creek, Choctaw, Calusa, Chickasaw, Cherokee. But all of these tribes in the Southeast descend from the people we refer to as the mound builders. And they are a completely separate ethnic group from the second, which are the Southwestern Plains Indians. When it comes to the Southwestern Plains, folks, we still call them Native Americans, but really they're the first migrants. These are those folks that they say migrated across the Bering Strait from Russia, Mongolia, different parts of Asia, right? This is like the Navajo tribe, Pueblo tribe. These would be the Indians that look like this. There's a big difference between the Indian that looks like this and the Indian that looks like this. Huge difference between an Indian that looks like this. I mean, she looks like her mama's Elizabeth Warren and her daddy's Genghis Khan, right? Versus an Indian that looks like this, or one that looks like this. And I can keep going. And I can keep going. But again, guys, if you want me to dive in deeper during a one-on-one personalized session with you, then go ahead and check out my website, nativeblackancestry.com. There's a tab where you can book a consultation with me directly. And before we get back to UBTV, also known as Uriah Brandon, before we get back to his great video, why don't you guys hear from a recent client of mine? See what they have to say. He's knowledgeable about his information about the American Indians and how we change our classification over time and the different types of mounds and different
Those Indian mounds
rules
are
from the
pyramids.
French, from the British.
So I'm glad he went back
If you want
live.
valuable information, you want to really find
I'm
out
glad he
who
went
in your
back
lineage of
live.
who are the
But
people
he
you
live
come
right
from.
now. I'm
I
glad he went
suggest
back live.
going with Mike TV.
Yeah.
His prices are
9 minutes
affordable.
ago.
He's not like some of these other people out here. I urge go with Mike TV. Now, before we get on with our regular scheduled program, I want to make you aware of something that you probably don't know. You know, it's a total misnomer that we were called Indians because Columbus thought that he was in India. I mean, he knew where he was going. They had info from the Moors and the crypto Jews, but that's a story for another time. If you're not familiar with the term crypto Jew, look it up, do some digging. But guys, it's a total misconception that Columbus thought that he was in India, so he calls us Indians. I mean, first of all, India wasn't called India at that point in time. It was called Hindustan until many years later, hundreds of years later, I believe. Secondly, if we go with that, if we play devil's advocate, you have to ask yourself, okay, Columbus thinks he's in India, so he calls us Indians. So at what point does Columbus realize he's not in India? And what does he still refer to them as Indians? Truth is stranger than fiction. We were never called Indians because he thought that he was going to India. That's a lie. It's a misnomer. He only told the Spanish crown, Isabella and King Ferdinand, that he was sailing to find a new route to Asia. He only said that so he can secure funding for him and his Jewish pals. I mean, guys, we can get into the receipts, but this broadcast is not about Spanish colonialism, okay? But the real reason why we were referred to as Indians is because the Spanish called us Indios, people in God, because they realized we had Hebrew customs. Every European faction that came over here and saw the indigenous tribes of the America, they reached the same conclusion. It doesn't matter if they were French, British, Portuguese, Spanish, German, they all said the same thing. Damn, we think these American Indians are a lost tribe of Israel. So they called us Indios, which means people in God. And later that becomes Indian. Doesn't that make so much more sense?
It does.
Then, oh, Columbus thought that he was in India, so he called us Indians. No, it never went down like that.
I call them Indians because that's what they are. They're the Indian. There's nothing wrong with the word. First of all, it's important to know that Indian, that word probably does not derive from Columbus believing he had reached India in 1492. India was called Hindustan. In his written accounts, he called the Indians Una gente indios, a people in God. Indios, Indians. It's a perfectly noble thing. And I simply can't justify this awkward phrase, Native Americans. First of all, they're not natives. They came here from Asia over the Bering Land Bridge.
Wait a minute. Some of them came from Asia over the Bering Land Bridge. But our ancestors, they're Aboriginal. You notice the Indians that look like this? You notice these folks never really use terms like indigenous, autochthon, Aboriginal. They use terms like American Indian, Native American. Why? Because they know that they're indigenous to Asia, not the Americas. Come on, yo. Come
on. However, for centuries, both of these populations coexisted. But how did it come to be? Surely, if Native Americans were Black, there would be some sort of evidence. And since most people have never seen a Black Indian, they just assume they never existed. Let's dig through the pages of history to identify the deception of our past. Hernando de Soto was one of the first colonial explorers to travel into the interior of the Americas. Christopher Columbus never explored deeply into intercontinental lands, only in the Caribbean, the coast of Central America, and a few areas on the coast of South America. De Soto was far more influential in westward expansion and the treachery of the conquistador. Here's a quote from the narratives of the career of Hernando de Soto. The expeditions of De Soto and Coronado were the most elaborate efforts made by the Spaniards to explore the interior of North America, and in some respects, they have never been surpassed in the later history of the country. Between them, they nearly spanned the continent from Georgia to the Gulf of California. Of the two, that of De Soto excited the most interest at the time, and this distinction it still retains. It was the first extensive exploration of at least 6 of our southern states, and their written history opens with the narratives which tell the story. These same narratives contain the earliest descriptions which we possess of the life and manners of the Southern Indians so famous in literature and history. The Choctaws, the Cherokees, the Creeks, and the Seminoles. These narratives also record the discovery of the Mississippi River and the story
What's
of
this,
the
the
first
Nile River?
voyage upon it by Europeans. As a young man, Hernando de Soto made his first voyage to the Americas before the age of 20. This was seen as quite the accomplishment. On his second trip, he teamed up with a unit of other Spaniards and ransacked Nicaragua. Later on that same voyage, De Soto was an instrumental player in overthrowing the Incan Empire. After executing women, children, chiefs, princes, and kings, the Spanish overthrew Cuzco, the capital of the Incan Empire. Having ransacked Peru for its riches, De Soto returned to Spain to present his spoils to the Spanish crown. He is well received and accepted into the Order of Santiago. De Soto was now officially a member of the Spanish crown under Queen Isabella.
Come on, let's talk about it. Shout out to Ebony's World. Ebony says, you know what irritates me? When Africans come over here to America and call us Blacks African American, that boils my insides. Fact. Africans really drive that to the ground. They really harp on that African American bullshit because Africans are regarded as global failures by and large, and their only modicum of success has been their alleged kinship to us. That's why they're always ranting and raving whenever they hear that we're getting in touch with our indigenous roots.
And the House of Castile, the very same house that Christopher Columbus sailed under just years earlier.
This is real history,
During
y'all.
this time in New World discovery,
Real history.
Rome was aggressively sending fleets to the New World.
They would never put
And
this in
under
the history
Papal
books, y'all.
Bull Dumdiversus
They would
1452,
never put this
the
in the
Pope
history
decreed
books. Never.
that all non-Christians will be subjugated to perpetual slavery. Then
See
in
what I'm saying, y'all?
1493, Pope Alexander, Caesar Borgia's father, signed Inter Caetera, which extended that infinite slavery under God to all lands west and south of the Cape Verde Islands.
Sorry, not sorry, but any of you Native Black Americans who are still under the spell of Christianity or who practice the Catholic faith or any of these religions that were used as justification to rape
glad you
and
said
pillage
that.
and commit genocide on our ancestors. Yeah, hey,
I'm glad you said that, Mike, because Christianity is not our religion. Okay? Because our religion is not Christianity or Judaism, whatever religion y'all can name. It don't belong to us. It belongs to the Spanish and to the Europeans. That's their religion. That's not mine. Excuse me, y'all. Let me call him and see them. Hey, there you go. All right, so yeah, I'm glad you said that because religion is not real. It's just it's man-made. So that's not our religion. Okay, so I'm glad you said that, Mike. Let's get back to it.
when you're living in ignorance, ignorance is bliss. We don't know what we know, but not a true in the Christian church. I know you may have family members who are Christian and this and that, but guys, let's not practice the religion of our colonizer. Let's not do that. Figure out our genealogy, figure out what the tribe we're part, and let's get in touch with our ancestral tribe spiritual system. I'd rather worship the sun, if that's what my ancestors did, than worship Jesus.
The Pope also gave exclusive rights to the families of Portugal and Spain, Ferdinand and the
Let us
House
stop
of
it right there.
Aragon, and of course,
Now, they would never teach this in school. Sorry, not sorry. They would never teach this in high school or college. You will never learn about this real history. They would never put this in a history book. You know why? Because everything's in reverse. Everything is backwards. Y'all gotta wake the fuck up, y'all. Y'all gotta get that brainwashing, get out that programming, get out that indoctrination. Y'all gotta break that spell, y'all. They will never put this in a history book because you know why? It will expose a lot of lies. It will expose a lot of lies. I have to keep facts. All right, let's continue.
Queen Isabella and the House of Castile. On his final trip, De Soto was given permission to colonize Spanish Florida and the southeastern United States.
Look at
The
that.
southeastern part of the country had the highest concentration of indigenous Native Americans. That fact still holds true to this day. As the Spanish arrived, the natives let off smoke signals up and down the coast to warn of the Spanish fleet. When De Soto landed in Florida, he brought with him over 600 men, over 200 horses, and hundreds of pigs. A little known fact about the conquistadors: they brought attack dogs, mostly mastiffs.
I'm sorry. I've got to cleanse my palate. I got to cleanse my palate with a strange mixture. I got to cleanse my palate with a mixture of what'll do it for me? I need a mixture of some ignorant hood shit mixed with some historical context. Okay, I just hold on. The song that comes to me is a super belligerent schizophrenic song by a rapper, but it speaks on
y'all.
Jesus and colonization and Christopher Columbus, and I just bear with me, guys. Just allow me to listen to this tune of mine for a minute or two. I mean, it really helps me cleanse my palate. It settles my spirit. I know this music may not be to your liking, but
So I hope y'all learned something.
I just gotta cleanse my palate for a moment. We ain't gonna play the whole 10-minute song. Yes, this is a 10-minute song by an artist named RXK Nephew. It's called Embarrassed. And you know what? I just want to play the first 2 minutes. Can I do that? Can I do that? I'm gonna give you a little spoiler alert. I guess I want to play it because this is the only song niggas have put to wax. Niggas have put it to a beat. Shooting Christopher Columbus. I mean, we're not looking to violate community guidelines. We don't practice violence over here. The YouTube overlords are watching, right? The YouTube overlords are ever omnipresent. But guys, it's just interesting. It's the only song that I've heard somebody say verbatim Christopher Columbus actually got shot. So as we speak about Spanish conquistadors and colonialism, before we get too deep with the meat and the potatoes, let me just spark up real quick, relax, and listen to some ignorant hood shit mixed with some historical philosophy. It's just a strange mixture, but I like strange things from time to time. Bear with me a moment. They say Jesus was a nephew. You know what I'm saying? They say his mom was a virgin. So when he was born, they told him he was in God, so he started going to village and people. They killed his dad. That's crazy. That's crazy, man. Good. They kill Jesus for helping the people. That's why I ain't got patience with people. In the Bible, God dealing with Eve. They say God didn't deal with the devil. That's the reason Job had soul on his feet. That's the reason Job lost his house. That's the reason Job lost his kids. I'm reading the Bible like, what is this? Adam made Eve over one rib. They made the world in 7 days. So Adam and Eve had 1,000 kids. Cain and Abel, they fell out beat. Me and my brother, we fell out beat. That's like cocaine. That was on the tree. Adam would have never fucked Eve. Why Eve made that nigga eat that? That's why I don't eat rich food now. Job lost his whole fucking family. They say God gave him 100 cows, 200 horses. And really, although he's not a scholar, although he's just a regular crack peddling hood nigga, he's speaking to the contradictions, to the hypocrisy of Christianity and colonialism. What does that work for my kids? What I did is just started to go through this. Let me get this right. Just because of Eve, okay? I'm for with Adam, but I'll beat the shit out of Eve. How the hell they live at the forbidden tree? Somebody show me the forbidden tree. I believe God, but I ain't too religious. How the fuck they really got a picture of Jesus? Name one person who was alive with Jesus. How the fuck they telling me I need Jesus? Hold on. Time out. Foul on the play. The ancestors work in mysterious ways.
You heard that?
He said, how they got a picture of Jesus? He said, how they got a picture of Jesus? How do they have a picture of Jesus? Well, it's because the Roman Catholics and the Vatican and the Pope and them, they put out some random image of some dude's nephew or some shit and said, this is Jesus. Hold on, guys. Let's run it back. This is how they have a picture of Jesus. Caesar Borgia is the Vatican's modern depiction of Jesus Christ, also the son of the Pope. Come on, so when they say, how the hell they got that picture of Jesus? They just chose the Pope's son and say, hey, this is your image of Christ now. All right, and I probably butchered the name, but I don't give a fuck about a Roman. Borgia, whatever the hell. That's how we got a picture of Jesus. Come on.
We all been lied to y'all. Y'all just gotta wake up, man.
Let's get back.
They would never put this in the history book, y'all. I'm telling y'all. This is real history.
He's making some valid points. It's like just because of Eve, okay, I'm for with Adam, but I'll beat the shit out of Eve. How the hell they live at the forbidden tree? Somebody show me the forbidden tree. I believe God, but I ain't too religious. How the fuck they really got a picture of Jesus? Name one person who was alive with Jesus. How the fuck they telling me I need Jesus? If I need Jesus, then where's Jesus? Or if I get shot, I'm gonna meet Jesus? Or I gotta die just to meet Jesus? It's a fucked up world, fucked up Jesus. The first religion, they worship the sun. They made some bullshit story about that. They said the sun went down because the sin. The sun was never thought so bad. Every 1,000 years, it's a new religion. I'm in the street screaming new religion. After that, now you're talking to religion. Wait a who? You must be tripping. Bitch, I'm praying to my money rag. That's that religion in Revelation. That me got a new face. So fuck it then. I'ma go take it. The whole world's so Persian. My daughter's gonna still have a Lambo. I'ma have 1,800 guns. 30 Audis and 20 Camaros. They said the world was ending 2012. I was selling track in 2012. They told my calendar ended. 8 years later, a pandemic. Swine flu, Ebola, COVID-19 was different. All of that shit was killing people. I ain't scared of that. Guns kill people. I ain't scared of guns. They kill people. I can die in this car crash. How the fuck you gonna turn up on the head? Please tell me when you talk to the dead. Who you met that came from the dead? Show me a picture and show me the proof. Explain to me why the fuck Benjamin Franklin stood his ass up on the roof. How he discovered something not God. If that's the case, T-Rex discovered it. You ask me this shit made up. I'm a new geek, I ain't said enough. I ain't said enough. In school, I had a lot of questions. Wow. Social study teacher making up shit. All that shit was in their head. Come on. Who the fuck is Christopher Columbus? He would have came to my block. How could he just discover my track? His ass would have probably got shot. Let's talk about it, y'all. Let's talk about it. I played all that just to get that line out, y'all. It's just something about that line. Who the fuck is Christopher Columbus? If he would have came to my block, talk about he discovered my he gassed it, y'all. Tell me he ain't snapping, though. Tell me he ain't snapping. He's making up shit. All that shit was in their head. Who the fuck is Christopher Columbus? If he would have came to my block, talk about he discovered my track, his ass would have probably got shot. How am I I'm African American? Bitch, I'm an American terrorist. 6 days falling in my pants. Grandma could help with algebra. Grandma like, what the fuck is ousted. She like, that's a goddamn shame. You people gonna keep making up shit, trying to keep you the same trade. Trying to hide shit in the book. I was in jail.
What did I tell you? They will never put this in a fucking book. Because they don't want you to know who you are. That's why they don't put this real history in a book. They give you a fake Mongoloid Asiatic people as Native American. Or Native American called the Native American Party. That's what the word Native American comes from. Wake the fuck up, people. Y'all been lied to. I'm just saying. I'm just telling you. I know y'all gonna get mad because some of y'all like the truth, but a lot of y'all cannot handle the truth. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So we're gonna continue doing this thing. I'm in the hood, slum love. Remember Jehovah Witness, no Christian. Jehovah Witness people more like a coffee. Every cool people at their door. You go force religion on somebody. I change the Bible and tell it everybody. Jehovah Witness don't like Christmas. They fight no Jesus' birthday. How the fuck I know Jesus' birthday? Who the fuck is that white man standing for? They say that nigga was Jesus' kid. Why would I let that man lie to my kids? Why would I qualify kids? They blame it on the nigga they said. Shit, a nigga I do my root on beat us to hell with an M. You eat my cookie preacher with an M. I can get milk preacher with an M like 100 times buying toys. Well, Santa never dropped me off a toy. Let's get back to Jehovah Witnesses. How the fuck all of y'all away? Yeah, he wrote Spanish imperialism, Christianity, Mormons, and Jehovah Witnesses. Now y'all see why I fucks with that song, right? Now y'all see why I fucks with it. But let's go ahead and get back to our regular scheduled program, which is so riveting, which is so therapeutic to hear vocalize the shooting of Christopher Columbus for trying to falsely claim that is already yours. I mean, it's something about that line that really speaks to me. I mean, who the fuck is Christopher Columbus? He came to my block talking about he discovered my come on, his ass would have got shot.
The southeastern part of the country had the highest concentration of indigenous Native Americans. That fact still holds true to this day. As the Spanish arrived, the natives let off smoke signals up and down the coast to warn of the Spanish fleet. When DeSoto landed in Florida, he brought with him over 600 men, over 200 horses, and hundreds of pigs. A little known fact about the conquistadors: they brought attack dogs, mostly mastiffs and hounds, who were fed a steady diet of human flesh and trained to kill. Most villages were small with less than a dozen homes. DeSoto and his men would roll 300 deep up on these villages. DeSoto would read a statement to these natives as he arrived. You and all your lands now belong to the Crown of Spain. Submit and accept Jesus as Lord, and you will be spared. And should you refuse, with the aid of God, we will enter your land against you with force, and we will make war with you in every place and by every means we can.
Come on, y'all. They had to force through genocide us believing in Jesus Christ. Now, centuries later, we willingly grow up in the faith, believing in Jesus Christ. But back then they said, hey, there's Jesus dude you never heard of. Obey him, worship him, or we will rape and butcher and kill you and steal your resources. Why? Because our Pope told us we can.
And are able. We will put you, your wives, and children into slavery. We will take your property, and we will do you all the harm and evil we can.
So that lets you know there's no such thing as a transatlantic slave trade, right? I'm just telling you the truth, right? No such thing as a transatlantic slave trade doesn't exist. It's all made up. Okay? They put my people into slavery, but not into Africa though, because we don't belong there, because that's not who we are. We are indigenous people of America. We are the original inhabitants. Our ancestors are the first inhabitants, which is the copper colored race, the American Indian or Amerindian Indians. So they enslaved my people. Okay? So this is where people get the word Atlantic slave trade from. This right here, which it don't exist. All right? This is history, real history here. So Atlantic slave trade never existed. You got it from this. Okay? All right, let's get back into it. I hope y'all learned something.
And that's exactly what they did. DeSoto was well schooled in the sport of slaying Indians.
They ain't kill all of us because we still here. We still here. That's why they kill all of us. A lot of us still alive.
DeSoto and the Spaniard savages pillaged from the coast of Tampa Bay through Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Memphis. A picture of DeSoto hangs in the White House, heralding him as a hero and as the man who discovered the Mississippi River.
Yes, you heard that right. The White House, our White House, praises and honors DeSoto with a painting. There's even parts of the country named after him. In the Southeast, they have a DeSoto National Forest. Y'all, if you heard the name DeSoto, you were in the South, you saw a county, a river name, and you wonder what DeSoto was about. If you wonder why Florida is called Florida, which is not an indigenous name, but it's a Spanish name. Well, now we putting you up on game. California. I'm born and raised in Sacramento. On the West Coast, they teach us all about them Spanish missions they built, but they didn't teach us about how those missions were hubs for raping and pillaging and converting indigenous tribes to Catholicism.
According to the official academic narrative, these people must have never existed. Until present day, thousands of mounds are still found all over the Mississippi Basin and the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, including the Cahokia Mounds in Cairo, Illinois.
Yes, most people don't know that the Americas, the southeast of the United States included, have more pyramids than the rest of the world combined. We're looking at a truncated pyramid located outside of St. Louis. They got these mounds and pyramids and earthworks in Louisiana, Philadelphia, all over. Shout out to Ty. Ty had a genealogy consultation. I believe it was her and
Those
her daughter.
Indian mounds
when I shared with you the video of the mound
pyramids.
builders?
Those Indian mounds are pyramids, y'all.
Matter of fact, if we rewind a little bit, I need to track
This
down this ancient
pyramids
map.
is
It's probably a
older
map
than
that
the
the
rest of the
Spanish drew.
world.
Even on this map right here, you see there's listed pyramids.
The pyramids.
Over here are the pyramids.
Exactly.
Doesn't say mounds, it says
Pyramids.
pyramids.
So there's Indian mounds
Come
or
on.
pyramids.
Did you guys know that there's pyramids located inside of the territory of the United States of America? Did you know that these pyramids are located specifically in the southeastern United States? Did you know that the southeastern United States is where all these Black Indian tribes were? And wait a minute, ding, 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 ding. Doesn't every single Native Black American have roots in the Southeast? I don't care if you're like me, born and raised in California, or born and raised in Canada or the East Coast. If you got Native Black American roots, it goes to the Southeast somewhere. On my dad's side, we trace it to Alabama. After the Trail of Tears, they pushed us to Oklahoma. On my mom's side, it's Louisiana. I mean, guys, every Black American has roots in the Southeast. And the Southeast is where DeSoto documented seeing all these Black Indians. I mean, let's just connect the dots, shall we?
The Cahokia Mounds in Cairo,
Those-
Illinois,
Those
which
Indian
at
mounds
one
are
point in time
pyramids, y'all.
was the city
Those pyramids,
bigger than
which is
London
Indian mounds,
and Rome.
older than the Pyramid of Giza. Older than the Pyramid of Giza. Because America is older
Contrary
than
to
the rest of the
historical
world.
perspective, the Spaniards faced a tremendous adversary in the Indians from the southeast.
America is older,
An earlier Spanish expedition was
older
subdued
than
when
the rest of the
the
world,
Indians from
y'all.
the southeast
Interstate,
captured a ship
overstand.
and beheaded everyone on board, except for one man who would later become DeSoto's interpreter. Whenever DeSoto approached a new village, he ordered everyone to be killed. And for the people who didn't fight back, they were taken as slaves. And some were forced by the threat of torture and death to take arms against their own people.
My name's Major Rank. I just got done with my consultation with Mike. If you trying to trace your ancestry, Mike is a good first step to go through. He's gonna break it down to you, all 3 steps to get you what you need. And if you want somebody to maybe do the research for you, you pay that price and Mike can help you too. But yes, he will fill you up with knowledge that you never knew and give you all the things like those unanswered questions in your head throughout time. Talk to Mike, man. He's a great dude. I believe in Mike.
In nearly every case, DeSoto and his men outnumbered the natives 3-1, sometimes as much as 10-1. His army numbered nearly 1,000 men, half of which were captive slaves being used as frontline ragdoll pawns during the battles that broke out between the Spanish Romans and the Indians. When a battle ensued, it was reported that many Indians from the fighting tribes were 4 years old, and these children would even take their own life in lieu of being captured by a cruel Spaniard. Women and children fought bravely until they were eventually cut down and either retreated or taken as slaves. The Spaniards had still, which the natives did not. They also had a fleet of mounted knights on horseback to come rescue any Spaniard who got.
Do you understand the real history? The real history of my people, my ancestors. It's time to wake up, people. They would never show you this in the history books. They would never tell you this because it's going to expose a lot of lies. They don't want the real history to get out in public. Even the school system ain't going to show you this because it's going to expose them. So yeah. All right. So yeah. Do you want to watch the whole thing, or because I don't want to keep you? Yep. Some of y'all might want to go to bed or something like that. So I'm gonna cut it short and watch the rest of it. But I hope you learn something. Or you want to continue watching this. It's up to you. So, so here we go.
In trouble. And let's not forget about the cannibal attack dogs. But of all this, these would not be the Europeans' most effective weapon. They're
No, I think the most effective weapon, and guys, I haven't seen this yet. I don't know if UBTV is going to concur with me, but I think the most effective weapon was the biological terrorism nobody wants to talk about. We want to admit that the British settlers used smallpox blankets to wipe out indigenous tribes, but nobody wants to give the Spanish their due credit for the biological terrorism. They want us to believe that, oh, a couple of Spaniards just sneezed and a bunch of Native Americans died. Oh, the Spanish didn't know what they were doing. The Spanish didn't know about how to take a germ or a disease and transfer it to other people. Guys, the Spanish have been participating in biological terrorism for a long, long time. There's Spanish exports and wars where they will take sick people, people that have like the bubonic plague and shit, and they'll chop off their head and catapult it over an enemy's walls so that all the people within the castle walls get infected with the disease. The Spanish know about biological terrorism, and they used it to wipe out the indigenous tribes of the Americas before they even used the attack dogs, before they even used the knights in shining armor, before they even used the guns. Guys, they came here with fucking guns. They had guns, attack dogs, knights in shining armor. We were outnumbered. We were outarmed. We were outmaneuvered. In Florida, at least in Florida, they resisted Spanish colonialism for like 400 years. I think Florida was one of the real tough ones for the Spanish to get a foothold in. But y'all, this is wild. Shout out to Trent. Trent says that's how the Black Plague started. Yeah. But shout out to UBTV. I wonder if UBTV is going to talk about the biological terrorism, or if he thinks that there was another method that was front and center. Let's see, y'all. Let's find out.
He's about the cannibal attack dogs. But of all this, these would not be the Europeans' most effective weapon. Their most effective weapon was disease.
Ding, 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 ding.
The colonizers brought smallpox and a myriad of other diseases, which eventually would kill almost half of the native population. It was no secret, just as in the voyages of Christopher Columbus, the Spaniards were extremely motivated to find gold. Whenever De Soto ransacked a village, he would aggressively interrogate any surviving captive as to the whereabouts of possible gold.
And you know what, I'm just now seeing we had a cash app come through from Ebony. Ebony, if you're still watching, post something in the chat. Either way, I think.
All right. Thank you for watching. If you want to watch the live, what I'm watching now, go to Mike TV. So yeah, I'm about to end it. I'm about to watch it. I'm about to watch it because he's still live right now. Which he is now. So if you want to watch Square and Mike TV. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the thumbs up. If you enjoyed the real history or they never tell you in school or college. All right. I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Peace.